Hey, this is Ralph for the Prineville Chess Club. I want to go over a game, a 10-0 rapid that I played just a little bit earlier this morning. Let's go ahead and click the game review. And yeah, some interesting, I think, interesting opportunities in this game. Blunder and see what's going on here. So I'm black in this game, and accuracy is about 82%, so it's not too bad, B- there. Yeah, both myself and my opponent made a blunder. No misses. I had one mistake. Opponent had 5. Opponent had more best moves than I did. I had a couple of great moves in there. And I haven't gone through this game yet, so this is my first analysis. I played this game on my tablet, as I often do. And so I'm on my iPad a little bit more often, so kind of play there. And a 10-0 is okay for me if I'm on the tablet as opposed to like playing live and talking about moves. I think I'm going to have to move to like maybe 15-10 or something like that for recording some live games and talking about them, giving analysis during the game. So let's go and check this out. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to the analysis here. And again, I'm going to try to focus my attention here on the main board and the evaluation bar over here on the left. And I will go to the engine after I come up with some better moves and things like that. So opponent starts off with e4. Excuse me. Starts with e4, super common opening. That's what I typically play too. And against e4, I typically go for the Caro-Kann, which always starts off with c6, then d5, challenging the center, but kind of doing it from the side. Take, take. Okay, things are good or doing well. Now, yep, and I know this bishop move. Yep, I know that move there. Now, just a day or two prior to this game, I was watching a YouTube video from Chess Centurion, who's a very good chess player, and he does a lot of Caro-Kann stuff. And he just literally a day or two before, was just showing a game where it was this opening. Opponent castled, and it was right here where I can't remember. Oh, that's right. No, it wasn't before. It was before this take. I think the opponent, castled and then pushed the H pawn, and then he had the choice of taking the knight or moving back. And this is it's called the exchange variation of the Caro-Kann. Does it tell us that up here? It just says Caro-Kann up here. Caro-Kann Defense for black. Black plays the defense. But after this pawn push, the debate was going back or going forward. And ultimately, he did, I think, the more respected or considered the better move was ultimately to take this knight, queen comes out, and then we follow up with pawn e6 so that the dark squared bishop can get out, things like that. So thinking of what I just saw on that YouTube video, I was figuring this probably was going to happen. However, I can see now that I didn't have to do that move right then. The knight is pinned. It's not going anywhere. The tension here is fine. The queen's not going to want to move away because I can then take this knight and it will mess up the white's pawn position there, pawn structure. So I think I jumped the gun, and that's probably why I get a little green check mark instead of best move. So again, there's this idea that don't take pinned pieces, attack them. Well, this knight is pinned, and I was too quick to take. So that's something I need to remember there. Don't take in that regard. Now, had they pushed this pawn, then I might be forced to act because, well, then I run the risk of pushing my bishop backwards and then opening up an attack here and things like that. So, all right, so I think I took a little bit too soon there. And obviously, if I don't take, no need to take, I can go ahead and continue on with my development and maybe pawn e6 right there. I'm going to look over at the engine. Yep, e6 is the better move. And yeah, it actually gives black an advantage. Right now the game is, actually it does have 0.08, but yeah, so e6 would have been the better way to go in that regard. I took a little bit too soon, but that's okay. And then we do some good moves here. And I've done this opening, this position a number of times, so I tend to feel okay about these moves. Now, here's my first inaccuracy. Trying to force this bishop to do something. And again, I guess I'm worried about things that I don't need to be worried about. Yeah, don't need to worry about that. So if I don't make this move here, what's really next? I could bring a queen out and start to target this pawn. Maybe that's got some potential. I don't really like putting my queen in a pin, and that's effectively what I'm doing, but that's a candidate move there. Queen b6. Now, the other thing, and I think I may have done this a couple moves later, starting a push here. So if I don't scare the bishop away, we know that's an inaccurate move. Well, obviously I've got queen to b6 as a possibility. What about pushing right now? This is what I did before, and it's the same layout from when I did do this move. So now I'm thinking e5 might be a good way to go. This square is protected by my knight. I'm not worried about it. And you might think, well, if I push and then bishop takes, I don't even have to take that bishop right away. I could then take over here, threatening some pieces. So now I'm thinking e5 may have been the best move. I'm going to look over at the engine. a5 is the best move. Bishop d6 is second. Getting the bishop out here. So a5. Oh wait, a5 is what I played. Right? Oh no, I did a6. Oh gosh, you know what? I think I've seen this in an opening practice session before, but I think I totally forgot about it. So yeah, I did a6, but a5 was the better way to go. By the way, my theory moves aren't even in the top 3 here. So a5. And of course, if I take, then I've got opportunities to take with my knight. I know I'm putting the knight on the rim, but it would be temporary, and then I could start to move out here, or I can take with my rook, or I could take with my queen, and then that would open up an attack on their knight. Okay, I am starting to see the logic of that now. So a5, bishop takes the knight, b takes c, and then grab that. So, okay. Lesson learned. Oh, that's right, yeah. So a5. I do start that center attack. Just a check mark, maybe not the best way to go. I knew my opponent could stop this, but obviously I'm threatening to push this pawn again and forking there. All right, things are going well. Game is very even. Starting to bring the bishop out, attack the queen. Yeah, so this wasn't necessarily a hot move here. It's easy for me, you know, I'm kind of happy with it myself. I'm got a double attack going on over here on h2, which I think is great, and I'm also got my queen looking at this knight. But my opponent finds a very logical, easy defense of this, and I'm really not in a good place to even take this pawn over here, because as soon as their knight moves out of the way, and it can move in lots of different places, it's a discovered attack on my queen, which I'm going to have to deal with. I might say, boy, I'd really like to stay on this diagonal so that I can protect my bishop if it's over here, but I just couldn't see a really logical way, so I made an inaccurate move and moved off right behind the bishop. And I did think this was an okay move, even though I've got this pawn here, because I kind of saw this, that, hey, you know, what happens if takes, takes, well, then I can take with check, discovered attack on the queen. So I thought that was going to be fantastic for me, as it would have been, but my opponent saw that I would have that opportunity. So let me back up a little bit here. So I had this inaccurate move, getting my queen out of danger there. Now, during the game, I also considered moving my queen back, but I didn't like that during the game, and I can't say I really like it now either. Yeah, I know this is hanging, and I just don't know what the ideal move would be. Yeah, I can't think of something good here, if there is something good. Engine says bishop takes h2, so they're saying go with that attack right away. So bishop takes h2, king h1. Now, I will tell you, my opponent is a streamer, and I was looking up his game because he recorded this game and he was streaming it live, and so I watched his stream or his recording of it, of this game. I wasn't watching while he was doing it. I didn't realize he was a streamer until afterwards. And he did correctly spot this potential take, and he was perfectly prepared to do the best move, king h1, which is really the only move. So I guess that doesn't make, yeah, I guess maybe it was another part. Yes, he can't take. And you know what? I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah, he has to react to this, and really his only move is king h1. And so I still have time to get this queen out of danger. Queen d8. Queen d8. Double protection on this d-pawn. Are we worried about the king taking over here? King takes h2 is a move. It's one of the engine moves. White actually has an advantage in this game, so it's not even like that taking really helped me out or would have helped me out. Bishop d4 is their best move. Okay. Double the attack here. Huh. Yeah, all these moves, all these top engine moves give, white is still the slight advantage. So, yeah, I don't know about that. Obviously, my move is in inaccuracy, and white has a bigger advantage. Well, not a lot bigger, but bigger. Okay. Okay, I'm moving my knight in. Still an inaccuracy, but I'm really eyeing potential over here. They could have easily gotten out of this with g3. Yeah, I think my opponent did spot this later when he was doing the analysis of the game. He saw, yeah, he should have blocked that. And I didn't see that as a block potential. And if I had, that really does take the wind out of my attack, so I would have had to have moved backward. Now, part of me was thinking I do have the option, if I did get pushed away, of moving my knight here. And I thought that would be pretty good, just kind of blocking this bishop. So I did kind of think that, yeah, maybe if this attack on h2 doesn't work out, then I can move back. Okay, I go in for the fork. I feel okay about this because my bishop is guarding this diagonal. King can't take. Queen kind of needs to move out of the way, and the queen can't move to a place that really attacks me too well. So I was pretty happy with that, and that is a great move. They take, and black has a great advantage here, and I bet I didn't do the best thing. I took this rook because that was all part of my forking plan. Oh, that was the best move. Okay, I'm good with that. King takes, best move. Yeah, had they taken back here, that would have been pretty good for me, I think. Yeah, I get even more of advantage just because I'm going to have some discovered attacks over on this side against their queen. Their queen is defended, but yeah, didn't go down that way. But king takes. Okay, I didn't know what to do here. So black has a fantastic advantage, and I make a mistake. Yeah, so it's not even an accurate move. That is a mistake when it's just got the question mark there. Oh, so I thought about this for a while. There's a place on here where you can see the time you spent on the move. And I thought I spent more time on this on my next move. My next move was queen up. Yeah, so I spent 45 seconds on there, and you can't. I don't know if you can really see that, but yeah, so I spent 45 seconds on this mistake of a move. So that's definitely not good. What would have been even better? Now, what I would have loved to have done is bring my rook out to help protect this line, protect my queen, because this is part of my problem. My bishop is pinned. My queen is undefended. So I was worried, boy, if he adds an attacker to this bishop, I'm going to be in dire straits because, boy, I got to somewhere I'm going to have to move this queen, and I won't be able to protect the bishop again. But my concern with bringing the rook out was then he's going to be able to easily attack that rook. And so I didn't see a good way to do that. So if it's not Rook D8, what is the better move? Offering a queen trade, but I don't want to line myself up with their rook, which is the reason, by the way, that I went over to E6. I've got to do something about this because I am worried about a bishop move. Doubling the attack on here. I've got to do something about that, right? What is the engine move? Rook FD8. What the? Rook AD8. So Rook FD8 is the better move. Rook AD8 is a good move. Okay. Rook FD8 is better. What happens with Bishop B6? Yeah. Oops, not there. Bishop B6. And what am I supposed to do with something like this? Bishop B. I don't even worry about the rook. Bishop F4. I go... Oh, I counterattack. Okay. Okay. So, yes. White attacks my rook. I counterattack their rook. And obviously, if they take a rook, then I take a rook. Well, no. I need to deal with that queen first. So if they take a rook, I take a queen. Knight takes my queen. So it would be like takes, 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 takes. And I am a pawn up, so this trade down would obviously benefit me, and black would have a pretty good advantage there. Okay, so I did consider, let's go back to, I did consider the better move, but I did not look past my opponent's threat. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So that gives me at least some key takeaways for this game, and this is where I had a good advantage. By the way, I did blunder in this game. Let's go ahead and move ahead. I don't like to do too many key learning points in a game. I see definitely some things I could have done better, and I can learn from those. Okay, black is still doing quite good here. There's another great move for black. And at this stage of the game, black is still ahead, but I was worried about this. And then this is my blunder, which kind of gives it away. So I should have done an F5 move. Basically, this is the theme of this. This is the theme of this game. I shouldn't have tried to worry so much about this threat on my queen. I should have countered their queen. And then if it's a take, I can take. So that's two distinct mistakes in my game where a counter threat would have been the best way to go. Counter threats. That is the theme. Okay, I take, and I knew this was going to really do me in. They're going to be able to take my rook with check. I was forced to block, and now they can start to gobble up moves. However, this game is not quite over. At some point right here, my opponent blunders, and they lose their queen. Now, they misclicked was their mistake. So I was able to take their queen, and now the game is pretty easy for me. I've got plenty of time on the board. I've got a queen. I can easily gobble up pawns. That's no problem whatsoever. And I know how to checkmate with a king and queen against a lone king. Now, I'm on my tablet, and I'm not really good at chatting on my tablet. My opponent saw this, and he did offer he requested a draw at this stage of the game, and explaining that it was a misclick. I declined the draw, which that sometimes happens. I was in a tournament game not too long ago where I offered a draw to my opponent. They declined, and I don't ask for draws very often in a position unless it is drawn. So there can be differences of opinions on this for sure. If your opponent makes an obvious misclick or blunder or something like that, and they ask for a draw, do you accept it? And I can see the logic either way, I suppose, but I declined the draw in this one because, to me, blunders and misclicks are just a natural part of the game. I blundered back here, and I knew that was going to be the end of the game for me. I had an advantage. I was confident in my advantage. I have a queen and rook against a queen and bishop. And my feeling is, I blundered, I screwed up, and that means I'm going to lose the game. Later on, my opponent misclicks. They screwed up, and that means they're going to lose the game. So, to me, running out of time, misclicking, making blunders is all part of playing chess, especially online chess, especially rated online chess. This is a rated game, and I don't want to be too overly caring of ratings. That's not really ultimately my goal, but it is a goal. It's not my primary goal. My primary goal is to get better at chess and to being able to play in losing positions and being able to checkmate in winning positions. So that's ultimately the goal, but I do care about my rating at least somewhat, and that's part of it. I would like my rating to get higher, and yes, I am okay with winning because my opponent runs out of time, because they blunder, and because they misclick. Now, if this was a club game, and this happens all the time, we play in our club on Friday nights in Prineville, and somebody makes a blunder move. Yeah, people are very cool about that kind of stuff. Hey, I'm going to be able to grab that. You want to try another move? We do that all the time. But that's, it's just unrated club games, and our goals there are true practice. There's no competitive nature to those. So, at this stage of the game, it's really just a mop-up, and I do what is called the ladder mate. I just get two queens. It could have been a queen and a rook, but two queens make it easy, and just cycle on over. So, my opponent was a little miffed about this, but that is part of chess. So, really, I am happy with this game specifically because there is a super key takeaway, and that is, don't forget that a counterattack when you are under attack can be a fantastic way to maintain an advantage or even gain an advantage. Take care.